What's going on, guys? We're talking about level 3 here on the Triple B. This is actually the furthest east plot that I have on the property, and it's on my 3rd level. So we're going to talk about this particular plot, and we're going to talk about my apple orchard and the clover plot that Bob Top and I had an experience with Twin Towers last year. Those are the 2 plots that are on level 3. The tree line up is level 4, and of course the very top of the property where it flattens out is level 5. We're going to do that together in one show, which will be next week, but we're going to talk about level 3 right now. So this is purple top turnip and tillage radish. I also have corn around the outside edge, and the reason I have the corn around the outside edge is to kind of create a barrier for the deer to have to move through to see down to level 2. All the corn that was on the uphill side on plot 3 on level 2, so the really long plot we talked about last week, was decimated by deer. None of it got any higher in this. They just ate it all down. So technically you can see from here down into that plot, which is about, I want to say 120 yards, 130 yards down below us on the hillside here. But with this cover on the edge here with the corn, they have to expose themselves. So if we're hunting down on that plot, we'll be able to see them expose themselves to see down to the next plot. So we'll be able to call to them, rattle to them, to try and persuade them to come down to that level for us to hunt them. We could use a decoy down there. We can use a decoy up here to try and draw deer out of level 4s and 5s, because a lot of the buck transition is like 10 or 15 yards inside this tree line. And as they're moving through there, we'll be able to see them from this stand, probably with binos. But you'll be able to see the deer moving in there. You'll be able to call to them, rattle them, whatever. I think that this would probably be a pretty good spot for a decoy during the pre-rut or rut. And one of the tactics we might try right here. But like I said, the tree stand's actually in that pine tree. There's a ladder stand in the pine tree straight across here. It's 53 yards from where we're standing to that ladder. So it's actually shootable. Not that I would recommend shooting 53 yards at a whitetail, but it is definitely an opportunity. So you can see that this plot here, I actually put buckwheat in this plot, so this was a no-till operation again. So I had sprayed it early, sprayed it in June and July and put in buckwheat. Buckwheat ended up getting as tall as me, basically. I came in here with the brassicas, put them in. I put them in actually at 8 pounds per acre, which is a little over what you're supposed to. But with the buckwheat being as high as it was, I thought that it was necessary. It seems to work out pretty good here. I'm pretty happy with what I'm seeing. I came in the last week of August, and I put urea on it, and that helped push the brassicas also. Today there's a couple little open spots, so I've got some winter rye I'm going to put in here. Same on a couple of my other plots. This is the first weekend of September, well, it's Labor Day weekend. This is actually Labor Day, so I'm going to do that. You guys can see some of the weeds and stuff that were in here that were still in the buckwheat, but they're dead now, so we're not worried about that. Next year this plot will be easy to maintain. Looking forward to that too, but I'm thinking we'll be fairly productive here. Like I said, this is the east side of the property, so if we get a west wind and it's fairly light during the evening to be able to hunt this, and what'll happen is the thermals will start to drop off the hillside. So if you get in here 2 hours early and you've got a straight west wind or a southwest, which would be great, we'd push it back over here down the ravine anyway. But with a straight west, it'll blow your scent kind of towards the hillside. Well, the deer don't bed in this area right here. I know that for a fact, okay? So what it's going to do is it'll push it a little bit west, and then right at the top of the crest of this hill, just over this knoll, is the property line, so I don't really care what happens over on the other side of that anyway. We're probably about 180 yards, if we're in that tree stand, 180 yards from the property line. So what'll happen is in the evenings when the thermals start to drop, it'll actually carry your scent down out into the valley, and then it drops and heads straight back west on the valley. So we don't expect the deer to come from below, we expect them to come from above. Those does and fawns are bedding on the edge of this goldenrod and the tree line here, so they're only probably 70 to 75 yards up from us right now, and they spend most of their time in their bedding. And then up from that is where we get a lot of buck activity. So the bucks will, you know, obviously intermingle during the pre-rut and rut. They come in there to check the does and stuff. But they also like to drop down in here to check the does. The one disadvantage to this particular spot that I see now that I didn't think about when we were putting it in, I should have put corn across the top edge of this also, because it would have actually made the deer come out of the woods, the bucks come out of the woods down to the plot to check it. Right now they can stand in the woods to see if there's does down here. Another opportunity for decoys, but we'll see how that goes. I thought the same last year when I put the other plot in we're going to talk about here on level 3, which is now my new apple orchard, but it's also a clover plot. And it's where you seen Bob Top and I have that experience with Twin Towers last year in November. And we're going to head over there shortly. But like I said, this is working out good. 53 yards from here to the stand gives us a lot of shooting opportunity. If the deer come into here, they actually have to transition or move through the corn and expose themselves to see down to level 2. Next year, we will make sure that the top level there gets, well, it's either going to be corn or it's going to end up being switchgrass. Switchgrass is probably be better. We'll see if we can get that established here in the spring, and we'll try some no-till stuff there that Jeff Sturgis from Whitetail Habitat Solutions suggests. Want to try that. We may end up making the plots a little bit bigger based off of whatever we see with deer movement on the property this year and the number of deer. So that's how that all lays out. We're going to head over to the apple orchard now. We'll talk about that, and that'll be the 2 plots on level 3. And then, of course, next week we're going to talk about level 4 and 5 and show you guys what we've got for pictures and how the mock scrapes and everything are working up there, and why we put some of those scrapes where we did for deer transition east-west on this property. Like I've talked before, this whole setup is 5 levels, east-west transition movements, but also north and south to go from level to level. And in those positions where we know that the deer are coming down or up, we actually have stands strategically set to pick them deer off. It gives us better hunting opportunities, less educating of my deer. Less educating the deer allows us to hold relaxed deer on the property, or for a better word, I guess, deer that are not aware they're being hunted, and hopefully that'll allow us to hold more mature bucks or bigger bucks on the property. So we'll see what happens. The clover plot, you guys seen myself and Bob Top last year have an experience with Twin Towers. Bob chose not to shoot him, and I appreciate that. That was a big deer, big deer, and he's still around, by the way. So that's the best part. He made it through. Gigantus made it through. The neighbor here told me he had Twin Towers about 3 weeks ago up behind his house, which is good. Good. I like to hear that. So that means he's close. Last year he never moved onto my property till the 27th of September, and then he stayed until the end of the rut. So that's a good thing. Positive note right there. So this year it's still clover, and I made it into an apple orchard. So I've got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 trees in here. 10 of them are apple trees and 2 of them are pear trees. I have 2 that are having a little bit of a rough time, but the rest of them have done very well. We had quite a drought here in southern Wisconsin the middle of the year here. We were 10 inches behind. Recently things have been better. So we'll see how it goes, or how it continues to go. You guys can see that there's yellow buckets in with each apple tree. So I had taken those buckets and drilled a little bit bigger than a 1/16 of an inch hole in the bottom of them, 3 of them. And I'd fill those buckets weekly with water. So it's 2.5, 3 gallons of water. And every time we would come, I would fill those up. And then we started getting regular rains, and I didn't have to do that. So that's a good thing. Trees look pretty good. I'm happy about that. So next year, we're actually going to make this a little bit bigger. I'm going to open this up a little bit further, and probably plant 4 to 6 more apple trees up in here. You guys can see straight behind me in that pine tree, that's the stand that Bob and I were in. And right about where I'm standing is actually where Twin Towers was standing. So it would have been a pretty easy shot if Bob had chose to kill him. So, but anyhow, this particular plot, what we're looking at here. So this is chicory and clover. It's 4 different types of clover that I make myself. It's a mix I do with chicory, and I've got that in all my clover plots. Now this one seems to have a little bit more grass in it, which is somewhat disturbing to me, but I'm not going to worry about it so much with this going to be turned into an apple orchard. I may come in and frost seed this this winter sometime. Well, I'm sure I'm going to do that, and at that point hopefully we'll be able to keep it mowed and choke the grass out of here and see how that goes. If not, I will spray this and we will start this all over again. So maybe next year, if I don't think it's coming in the spring the way I want to see it, I'll spray it and kill it, and then I'm going to put brassicas in it for 1 year, and then we'll see from there where we decide we want to go. But I've got a mock scrape on a tree over here, actually right back underneath here. There's a mock scrape in there. There's a camera on that, got a bunch of pictures, but basically nothing but does and fawns. A couple small bucks come in there every now and then, which is the same thing I had last year. Right up behind the camera is the tree line, so level 4, level 5. The does like to bed just inside that tree line. They're probably bedded not 100 yards from us right now, listening to us talk and deciding whether or not they want to stay where they're staying. But and this goes up off a point. There's a bunch of mock scrapes up on there, and we'll talk about those next week on the show when we talk about levels 4 and 5. But this plot and the plot to the east, a new plot I just put in, which is brassicas and corn. Those are the 2 plots on level 3 of the property. This is surrounded, you can see it's surrounded by goldenrod, ragweed, and then pines, and then sparse trees. So right now below us is probably about 50 yards, 55 yards, 60 yards below us is a great big long plot on level 2. And for the deer to actually get down there, because they can't see from here, they have to transition. So we've created a couple lanes for them to transition through with stands on the locations when they come into those plots to see what's going on. And we'll be able to shoot them at that point. So what we're doing is creating movement, not only east-west with the property here because of the 2 plots on this level, but the north-south or height level drops with the transition points that we've created to get to those food plots. And the deer will transition on those just because, number one, it's easier for them instead of sneaking through and funneling through. Even the bucks will do this, but during the rut, they'll really do it. But currently, right now, they'll usually kind of sneak through the thick stuff and get down in there and get their picture taken. But right now, you know, it's still early, and they'll transition up and down. In the evenings, actually after dark, they're using the trails, but in the daylight, they're actually transitioning more east-west. They're coming down off the points and coming around, which helps us with our east-west entrance based off of wind direction to hunt these deer. So that's how that'll lay out. Like I said, we're creating an apple orchard here. Of course, it'll take a few years for these trees to mature, and at that point, it should be pretty good hunting. So I'm in my early 50s right now, so by the time I'm 60, I'm pretty sure this is going to be a really good spot to take out a deer or 2. So that's what we're looking for, creating this for the future, this particular spot with the apple orchard, because it's going to take you 7 or 8 years to your apple trees to mature enough to be actually producing a fair amount of fruit. So, and when you do decide to put apples in, make sure you don't get the small trees, the dwarfs. Semi-dwarfs or full-size apple trees is what I recommend. I got all full-size apple trees, so it's actually going to take them a little longer to mature anyway, but we'll see how it all goes from there. But anyhow, level 3. Well, that's level 3 here on the Triple B. Hope you guys enjoyed the show. I know it was a short one, just 2 plots, but that's what we've put in this year for the level 3. Next week we'll be hitting at level 4 and 5, and that'll be the end of the property layouts. We should be hunting by then. Right now it's actually Labor Day weekend, and we'll have the show. Obviously it'll be the following weekend. I'll put the show out next Saturday and show you guys what we got here on level 3. But you know, appreciate you guys watching, appreciate all the support everybody's been giving us. If you get a chance, give us a subscription here at the bottom of the thing. Just hit the little reaper in the right hand corner. Been doing now over 20 years, 16 years for Rush Outdoors Wisconsin, and with the Summit Tree Stand Places, High Places TV show. We've been doing it over 20 years. So like I said, appreciate all you guys' support. We'll be doing the Obsession show this year again, bi-weekly show starting the week of bow season here in southern Wisconsin. We've got teams heading to North Dakota, Iowa, Illinois, guys hunting in Minnesota, Wisconsin. 2 teams out right now are in Montana hunting elk. That'll be interesting. You'll see most of our stuff is done with bows, archery, and I mean, there'll be a couple gun hunts maybe if guys decide they want to film their gun hunts, but we're all about archery here at Rush Outdoors, and we sure enjoy doing it. So when we're doing the Obsession show, we're going to be talking about, you know, what's happening in the woods at that time here in southern Wisconsin and what everybody's seeing, how the deer are moving, things like that. Also, we'll touch base in Minnesota and Iowa with the teams we have there, and we'll talk about what they're seeing, how things are going. Obviously, right now, the oaks, the bur oaks and the white oaks are starting to drop acorns pretty heavy. So if you have a bur oak or white oak or any of the rounded leaf oak trees dropping in your area, that wouldn't be a bad spot to start hunting. If you guys are hunting public, same deal. If you can get into an oak ridge or something like that that's not too far from where you think bedding is, you'd probably be fairly productive there. Further back from where everybody's going to come in and out, the better off you'll be, especially if you're looking for a buck. Remember, there are some giant bucks on public land, and you'll see us hunt public also every year, so it's kind of something we enjoy doing too. So be ready to watch for that also. Anyway, that's the show for today. I'll see you guys next weekend, and thanks for watching The Obsession right here at Rush Outdoors Wisconsin.